Welcome to the Wake.Show. As everybody knows, the show needs an intro. This is that intro. I am Fisher, your host. It's a Monday. The guy sitting behind me is Pat Largo. Let's get to know him better. I'm not good at rhyming, Pat Largo. I've lost my ability to rhyme since you and I worked together in radio many years ago.
You were always an accomplished freestyler.
Yeah. I lost that somewhere along the way. I've lost that knack. Let's bring in the sponsor for the first 15 minutes, Single Source Insurance. Thank you so much, Single Source. If you're looking for a quote, you're sick and tired of dealing with the typical insurance companies out there and them giving you the runaround customer service-wise, make sure you go to Single Source Insurance, singlesourceins.com. All right, good morning, Ryan, Robert, Elliot, Lauren, Adam. Let's introduce my first guest before we get into anything. I worked with this guy at a couple different radio stations. One when I, towards the end of my stint. Did we actually work together or did you replace me?
What I just came in after you. I didn't really, well, technically replacing, but you because you were going on to a different gig.
Right. Yeah, so, right. Yeah, they didn't fire me for you. I was going on to something and you were coming in.
Right. They were talking about it.
I feel like we knew each other though back then, like more.
No, because you were in the Daytona market. I was in the Orlando market. Okay. And I just, I'd never got much over to Daytona. I heard of you on that station, on the Crow back there, but I never got a chance to meet you until I finally met you to replace, take your afternoon gig. All
right. So we did radio. We crossed paths there in Daytona and then worked together at 97X in the early days. How many years did you make it there before Shark finally, took your life away from you?
He did. He flatlined me. Me and Shark were the first voices on 97X, WSUN, back in somewhere in early 2001. I made it through January or February of 2004 when he, the person who was coming in after me in the control room said, I think Shark wants to speak with you. I said, oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I've been wanting to speak with him too.
I love this man.
Looking forward to it. Oh, shoot. One thing that I forgot here is right here at the beginning of the show, I got to push out the show. So you do the same on your social media. So are you and I have a cop back. Oh, Adam, weren't you married to Kate? Did you guys ever get married? I don't remember. No, you guys didn't get married.
That was such a blurry part of my life.
You don't even know who you're talking about?
Very nebulous. If I knew I was going to get this kind of ridicule, I never would have come on this damn show in the first place. By the way, am I allowed to use colorful language on this show or not? I don't have to.
So the rule of the show is radio rules plus shit.
Oh, okay.
Radio rules plus shit, but we don't censor our guests.
Okay. You don't?
Well, that way, so when comedians come in, I want them to feel like like they're in a different place than radio or television, where they can come in and express themselves. However, I don't know if I want to give you that much rope.
No, well, and nor do I want to take that rope. But do I have to answer Adam's question about Kate?
You don't have to answer anything.
Okay, Adam. Listen, I'm glad you wrote in. Thanks a lot, and thanks for being a fan.
That was a different life.
Life. You know what? We did go out, and things did take a turn for the serious. I fell deeply in like with with her, and that's all I'll say right now at the moment.
All right. So also, good morning, Maribel. Welcome, Michael. Don, Jennifer, the likes and shares are awesome, and that's what I got to do right now too.
Perfect.
So I have to go. So speaking of now, this the shirt you're wearing there, The Average Golfer. That was a podcast or a television show you were doing. Are you still doing that show?
Yes, in a couple of different social media venues. We had it on a local station in Tampa, Channel 38. It was we used to do paid television. So basically, we got our own sponsors. It was a couple other radio guys of mine, Dave Mann, who's a big-time voiceover guy who now lives in North Carolina. We did about 8 to 10 episodes. Now we're on YouTube with our YouTube channel and Facebook. But however, I would love to get the Average Golfer Show back on TV again. And I got a little something for you, sir.
Oh, what do you have there?
I got a T-shirt for you, and it's clean. It's the Average Golfer Show shirt.
All right. Hold on, let me reach it. I'm trying. Hold on. I'm trying to take care of a.
No, do your thing, man. I just want to thank everyone for commenting on your on this incredible show you got going on, and thanks for having me on. This is really a lot of fun.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, this is my pleasure.
All right, so I wasn't listening because it seems like we're having audio issues on our live stream. Only not on the Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or anything like that, but this Mixler, and I was check. I wonder why.
Yeah.
All right. We'll have to come to it after the show. I can't troubleshoot.
No.
Well, thank you very much for this. And it is a little warm in here today, so I'll go ahead and put it on. Good morning, Sherry Wise. Nice to see you again. Sean, we'll get to on this day in history. So one of the things that I've done with the show as we're putting it together is on this day. And you're an old radio guy, and you know that's an old-timey radio bit.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons, there's a couple reasons why I do it. One is because it makes me happy. Because I love On This Day, and growing up as a little kid, a couple of things would always jump out at me on the radio. One was On This Day. I just loved On This Day. Two was the baseball scores. I needed to know what Dale Murphy and the Atlanta Braves were doing.
Okay.
And three, I feel like it puts things in perspective, you know, like the news of the day.
Jesus.
I realize this has turned into something weird.
Yeah, I could have stayed home and watched this.
Hold on, I'll try not to lit any nipplage. Well, I want to wear you brought in a shirt.
Well, I appreciate it, but I didn't know you were going to do this.
It's a little hot in here for some reason, and I need this shirt because I have some client stuff afterwards, so I don't want to sweat through this one, so I'd rather sweat through the gift that you just gave me.
I'd rather you do this
hold on.
with me than taking your shirt off for your clients. Wow.
I think we just went from PG to PG-13 with that shot.
And you're worried about my language.
Cord says namaste.
My God. This is the what do you call it? The happened today thing. I'm with you. I always like to. I don't know what jumped out at me. I always enjoyed, like you said, scores. I always enjoyed certain parts of history, mostly massacres.
Okay.
I was just into that. Custer's, the Little Bighorn, June 25th. Every year I knew what was coming. I'd laugh my ass off.
My wife says, "Quit showing the goodies." Sorry, honey. Sorry. You know that you those are bought and paid for now. Now that I'm a married man, I can't go showing that stuff off to the world.
And let me assure you, wife, the goodies aren't that good. I already saw it. Just decent at best from my angle.
All right. So let's hit some of this On This Day in history. Looking back in our radio when you were growing up, you said that the scores on this day. What else stood out to you? What about that Friday whistle? Would that get you excited as a kid?
Oh, like you mean like radio benchmarks? Well, that was like the Q105, the Mason Dixon, the Q-Zoo days, that going to work or going home thing.
Pretty sure they still do it.
Right, that Friday chant, and that was good until I was about 18 when I had to actually start going to work. Then I said I don't like this at all. But I mean, it was cute when I was younger. But I mean, radio for me, that back in the day, it was the Q-Zoo when I was younger. As I got into my teens, into junior high and high school, it was the Ron and Ron show on 95 WYNF.
Yeah.
My friends, Dan Whitney, Larry the Cable Guy, Lou Angel Wolf, they were on that show. Ron Bennington, funny guy. And we got to work with Bennington and Fez in Daytona
for a couple minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what happened back then. Is Fez and Ron.
Yes.
All right, one of the Rons. That's what it was. They were trying to resurrect the old show. This was about 1998 or 9.
Yeah.
And so they got together with Ron Diaz was still here in Tampa, and I guess he didn't want anything to do with it.
There were some issues under there that
Right. Do you know those issues were? I mean, I don't want to because
well, I could say allegedly before. I mean, it was allegedly a drug thing, but that I think Ron Diaz didn't want. There were apparently maybe one or so of the other guys were maybe doing some things that they probably shouldn't have been doing that way.
Okay, and he didn't want it.
And I say
he
allegedly,
was done with that lifestyle.
Yeah, and it's just what I heard from a few decent sources. And Ron that's when he became basically solo, if I'm not mistaken, here in the Tampa Bay area, going more towards sports.
Sports, yeah.
And then when I saw you in Daytona in 98, 99 to take over for your afternoon position at WKRO, The Crow, I said, "Who's the morning show?" And they said, "Oh, yeah, it's Ron Bennington and Fez." And I asked them one day in the studio, we were all there together, right, those two and me, and I said, what are we doing here? No, it was no offense against Daytona.
No.
But I said, you guys had the #1 radio show in Tampa Bay
in the
for
Southeast.
years. In the Southeast. And then they said the same thing. They said, well, we're just trying to get an opportunity here so we can move on. Then they did. They went to New York.
And so Ron Bennington is still up there doing well, from what I understand. But Fezzi, from what I heard, is back here.
Yeah.
And he has developed some kind of agoraphobia. Have you heard that? Or he has a fear of just leaving the house.
Well, I heard from not the erstwhile or the alleged drug source people, different sources. That he had, I guess, some bad heart problems. And I want to say multiple heart attacks that kind of made him more maybe house-ridden, so to speak. So I don't know about the actual going out phobia, but I think his health was in decline.
Okay.
So, and he always had a weight problem over the years. He kind of battled. I mean, he could put down some food and stuff too. So but that was it though with those guys. And I hope Bennington's still doing good. I know Diaz is doing great.
Yep, Diaz is doing good.
And I hope Fez is doing. I mean, all those shows. I mean, Billy the Phone for all those guys. Billy the Phone Freak. What a great character. Just a bunch of characters. So that's what I loved. When I was growing up.
I guess I said the word wrong. I said agoraphobia, and Cords goes, "Isn't that the fear of farms? What the hell is fear of going outside? It's agoraphobia. Is that what it is?
That I don't know.
All right, hold on. Now I got it. Now I got to look it up before we move forward.
Ask your phone.
No, Siri is an idiot.
That's true.
Agoraphobia. Yeah, agoraphobia.
Is that what that is?
Not agoraphobia. It's a type of anxiety disorder in which you fear and avoid places or situations that might cause you panic and make you feel trapped, helpless, or embarrassed.
Oh, I like agoraphobia. I'd go out, but that goddamn cow is standing there.
Yeah, the fear of the FFA. I got, speaking of which, and for those of you just tuning in, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And Pat Largo is somebody that I've worked with at 97X for a few years, and he and our paths have crossed in radio a couple of times. And, one of the things that I always loved about radio was the meeting of the people going out and doing gigs. Mm-hmm. And I love that interaction. I love that connection. That's something that drove me. But then somewhere in like the mid 2000s, I started to get an anxiety when I was going out. Instead of getting excited and I couldn't wait to go out to this place or couldn't wait to go out to this place, it became the exact opposite. And it turned into a dread to go out anywhere. Did that ever happen to you at all?
Maybe you had agoraphobia.
Well, there was some kind of anxiety that started to set in. And I don't know if it was your simple performance anxiety or what. I have no idea. There were moments like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially after a long week, knowing you had to go out and go do something. Not that it was the hardest gig in the world, right? But knowing that you had to go out and perform again in front of folks. Beyond, right.
Also, just the amount of people, and especially women we knew, I was getting more and more scared because I knew that syphilis was just around the corner. So I got to tell you, that was to me fun because all week long when you're in a radio studio, right, and you're broadcasting, you don't get to see the audience. But that 1 or 2 times a week you get to go out, whether it be a cell phone, store that you're doing, or it could be the Palladium, someplace in St. Peter, someplace here in Tampa, right? Where you get to see people who go, hey, man, I love what you do. I love your station. I love your show. Hey, how about that Fisher? You hear what they said this morning?
Yeah, right.
I love that stuff. So, I mean, like going out, it was kind of a chore sometimes, but for the most, it was kind of cool seeing people and giving stuff out. And I don't know, I just kind of dug it.
It was a weird transition, and good morning, Nikki. It was a weird transition for me too when every radio station I'd ever gone to up until Tampa, and those first couple of years of Tampa, it was you were constantly in this place of trying to get telling people who you are, and we're a new radio station or a new show, and this and this and this and this, and that was a good place for me. A few years into 97X, when like people knew who we were all of a sudden, and I'd go out and be like, okay, hi everybody, my name is Fisher. We had a new radio station, and everybody's like, we know who you are, or they're coming up to me and telling me like they're saying good things about me. I couldn't deal with that.
Oh, really? The compliments?
No, I could not deal with that.
Really?
As a matter of fact, if you rewind the tape and you go back almost every single time somebody ever came up and paid me a compliment, I listened to you every day, some quip would come out of my mouth like, oh, there's got to be better things on, or something like that. And so those were indicators that I have some things to deal with in order to, I think, reach the success that I want to reach. Because you have to be able to believe you deserve a certain amount of success, I think anyway, in order to get that amount of success. But for some reason in my head, it was just always kind of weird. I was always in a better place trying to telling you about the new show or the me or for whatever than it was accepting, hey, I listen to you every day and we love what you do.
Maybe it's, I don't know, if it's a modesty, maybe that you have like a humbleness, so to speak. I mean, because you don't want to talk about, like what you're saying, you really don't want to talk about yourself per se.
I would like to say that it comes from some higher source of humility. Yeah. But it came from a place of anxiety and not, and I don't know.
That's interesting.
Do you know Byron Sellers?
Yes.
Wait, is Pat the Man Toucher there? Wait, Toucher?
Byron, he was in Oh, God forgive me. He was a guitarist, a lead or rhythm guitarist in one of the local bands in that 97X played. And when we used to do some gigs, I used to love when we have gigs out, right? Especially at venues with local bands playing. When we did cut-ins on the radio, I loved bringing the bands on and interviewing them. And then when I did the Local Motion show on 97X, which I loved, by the way. And for the life of me, Byron, I'm so sorry I forgot the name of your band. It's on the tip of my tongue. I see all the band members, but I forgot the name of your band.
He says that's okay, but you need to show more skin.
Oh. Jesus, I'm nonplussed right now.
Anevis, Anevis is the name of the band, he said.
Oh, God.
So you didn't even know the name of his band?
No, that doesn't. Is that the right one in Tampa? Really? I didn't. No, it's got to be something. I don't. I think I even got one of their CDs at the house. But I know, Brian. I'm sorry, man.
That's all right.
All right. But no, yeah. So thanks for him for watching too. This is really cool. This is really awesome, man. This is really, really cool.
So what are you doing anything media wise? Because I know you're also you do stand up. You've got your hand, your pinky in a lot of things. Acting, stand-up comedy, you doing stuff social media right now?
I social media, I'm kind of a one-man show with everything right now. So I'm on Facebook. I have patlargo.com, which is great, but the thing is, like for the average golfer show on Twitter, I'm more active on Facebook because I just sometimes forget that I have Twitter. So, I mean, when it comes to social media, it's amazing. I just don't have enough hands right now to do everything. But, I would go throughout Florida doing stand-up comedy, different clubs all over the place, from the Panhandle. I was just in Fort Walton Beach at the Comedy Zone last weekend, all the way down to Miami a couple of months ago. So I tour all over Florida doing that. Keep my hand in, like you said, MC, event hosting on both sides of the bay, doing Chamber of Commerce events. Weddings. Anything. I literally did a cell phone store grand opening a couple of years.
Really?
A couple of years ago, yeah. So like an Asian person booked me for some gig like on Dale Mabry. I said, what is it? They said, this place is opening for cell phones. I said, how much? And they told me, I said, I'll be there. So
he says Ironic Days. Maybe it was
Ironic Days.
That was
yes,
the band.
That's what it was.
Okay, Ironic Days.
Yes. Because the lead singer, if I'm not mistaken, was a lovely African American fellow who would do this Scott Stapp kind of a Jesus pose on the speakers. Like he would just put his arms out and just feel the music, and it was amazing. But Ironic Days, yes.
All right. Before we get to on this day. Everyone, don't forget to share. Thank you so much. The likes and shares are appreciated. You're watching this morning. The likes, the shares, the interaction is much, much appreciated. Also, we'll be announcing, I would imagine either later this week or next week, kind of the next step in our evolution. That'll be joining a network, and we'll give you the details on that.
Wow.
Yeah, we're very excited about that. I know. We're getting there. So thank you once again to the sponsor for the first 15 minutes of the Wake.Show. That is Single Source Insurance. Single Source Insurance. SingleSourceINS.com. Let's go to the Instagram real quickly, because since I did not bring in the stars of the show, which are not me, by the way, Pat Largo, it's my dogs.
Oh, yeah, they are adorable.
The Wake.Pups, Roxy and Joey. This is their Mother's Day post from yesterday.
Oh.
So, of course, I know this. Back in the 80s going into the 90s, Howard Stern changed everything with the content that he put on the air. And I'm going to do the same thing in the late 2010s by putting on more pictures of my Yorkies. The Wake.Pups. We have the best fur mom in the world. For one, she always comes back every time, and it makes us so happy. She also gives us our kisses first, but wipes them off before giving Dad his. This is a little rude because I know Dad loves our kisses too. Oh well, she may not be perfect, but she's perfect for us.
Oh.
Happy Mother's Day. That's from the Wake.Pups.
Adorable.
And there's another one that I have to show you guys from last week that I haven't put up here yet. And this is the Wake.Pups right here at Bake More Pies. So there they are. As you come in, Bake More Pies. Those adorable little faces.
Wow.
Oh, don't patronize.
See it back here?
Don't patronize me, Pat.
No, hang on. Let me see it back here so I can see it better. Oh. That is cute.
All right. Let's see. What was it? We are ready for Friday. Join us for the last show of the week today. So that was from Friday. I just wanted to make sure that you guys are all caught up.
Just kind of fun. I see the Wake Pups and Bake More. I'm just thinking Wake and Bake More.
Yeah,
that's all I saw.
We've tossed that around a little bit around here. That's all right. As far as your bake more pies goes, most people think when they get here there's going to be a lot of pies.
There's nothing here. I want some. There's no water here. They told me to drink out of the toilet.
Yep.
They don't give a damn about their guests.
That's about right. And it's a marketing company and production, full, service marketing and production. And so I'm in the back. I'm in the Himalayas. I'm in this Batcave.
I was impressed. It took me about 2.5 minutes to get to you. I had to go through 3 rungs of security. It's a protocol where it was one more flight of steps, through a green room, one more flight of steps. I saw the bat poles behind the bookcase, and then thank God Chris Fisher was here. It took me a while, man. Like, you're on top of the mountain here, brother.
Yes. All right, so let's get to some of this on this day. Lewis and Clark depart on this day in 1804. The Constitutional Convention delegates begin to assemble on this day in 1787. The first American Olympiad on this day in what year? First American Olympiad on this day in what year?
Oh, God.
Just give me the century. How about that?
18th.
Nope. The 20th century.
Dang it.
And it happened in where'd you go? You were right in front of me 1 second ago. There we go, 1904.
Okay.
I got to read a little bit on this because, this is interesting to me. The third Olympiad of the modern era and the first Olympic Games to be held in the United States opens in St. Louis, Missouri. The 1904 Games were actually initially awarded to Chicago, but were later given to St. Louis to be staged in connection with the St. Louis World Exposition. Like the second Olympiad held in Paris in 1900, the St. Louis Games were poorly organized and overshadowed by the World's Fair.
See, just one more reason Chicago gets screwed. Cubs start their 100-year loss.
Yep.
Then they go, we're going to give you Olympic. Now we're going to give it to St. Louis.
Well, and on this day in 1998, Frank Sinatra dies.
Oh, man. Old Blue Eyes.
Here's a little piece of trivia for you. Did you know that there are many hospitals, if not all, most hospitals in America will not allow the song My Way by Frank Sinatra to come over their speakers. If with the satellite that they pipe in stuff that is minus Frank Sinatra's My Way, because the song begins with, and now the end is near.
Yeah.
And so I face the final curtain. Could you imagine? I mean, it makes perfect sense. You're sitting there you just had a major heart, or who knows what's going on with you, and you're laying there in the hospital, and you're all by yourself, and all of a sudden Frank just comes on, and now the end is near. So
that's funny. I didn't know that.
That's a little piece of trivia there. And you can learn more fantastic pieces of trivia when you join me on Tuesday night at Boulevard Burgers, St. Pete Beach, and starting a new night tomorrow night here in Tampa on Kennedy at Ducky's.
Oh, you're going to be there?
Yeah.
Longoria's place?
Right. I think he still owns a piece of it.
Okay.
It's not, the Longo's place like it once was there in the beginning of those first couple of years, but I think he still owns a piece of it. But now he's gone. They're no longer in the Trop. They got one other store. Oh, I think they are in the airport. But anyway, Ducky's right here on Kennedy. It's going to be late night trivia, 10 o'clock trivia. So I want to drop in some adult oriented questions as well, which I'm excited about. All right, that's it for on this day today. We'll move on. I need a better transition. That's a good transition.
What do you want to do?
That's a good transition. That's a good transition. Let's talk about how horrible the weekend was here. Are you following much sports these days, or you hustling too much that you can't keep up with the Lightning and the Rays and all that good stuff?
No, I still love my sports. I love my local teams. I followed the NFL draft in April. Good draft by the Bucks. Got my Bolts, unfortunately down 2 right now. Rays are just about where we thought they'd be with the talent they have. But I definitely try to keep keep up on that.
So the Capitals are up 2-0 on the Lightning, and I heard a stat today that since 1974 hockey season, that every team, all but 2 teams who have gone up 2-0 in either a conference final or a semifinal have gone on to win. So it is less than a 5% chance, according to those stats, that the Lightning have of coming back and taking down the series. So there's a long road to haul for the Lightning. But holy crap, yesterday the Rays got spanked 17-1. 17-1. And then over the weekend, too, we'll keep it in the sports realm. You were texting me Saturday evening or late Saturday asking if I was watching TPC. What was going on when you texted me? Was Tiger making a charge then? Because I saw on Sunday when I got up and started watching, he was in third place. It
was life-changing. No, it was just a golf tournament.
Oh, okay.
No, TPC Sawgrass. It was neat because the this guy Webb Simpson, who was just destroying the field, was doing his thing and just really playing great golf. And Tiger, who the first 2 rounds, not too stellar. All of a sudden, Saturday, he comes in with him and Jordan Spieth come in with a 7 under par 65, like out of nowhere. So now we're thinking, it's that Tiger tease again, right?
Yeah.
Then yesterday, Tiger comes out. And I think he was playing with Spieth yesterday. He comes out, a couple of pars, and I say, it's birdie, 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 birdie. I go, no way.
Here we go. Getting excited. It feels like Sunday in 1999.
I'm telling you, as part of it, it's just like, like that, the Tiger of old, But then some holes, it's like the old Tiger. He's just old. But, I mean, he was doing great up until number 17, that island hole. And the wind or something caught it. And
number 14, he hits a drive 350 yards, right? This close to the first cut there.
Yeah.
And you think it's just a little chip and a putt for birdie, and he ends up bogeying it.
Something that you and me do, put it tight and one putt.
Right.
He
of course.
did what we would typically do. For some reason, it hit the front of the green, rolls off, he gets a bogey, but then when he dunks it on 17, which, by the way, I forgot how many balls were in the water this year. 17, the island hole is phenomenal.
Have you ever played that course?
I've never played that course.
Yeah.
But for the Average Golfer Show last year, me and my cameraman, we were up there. I was doing a comedy gig at Jackie Knight's in St. Augustine. So we did a piece for at the World Golf Hall of Fame, and they have a green out there that is like the island hole. It's the 17 Sawgrass hole. And after about 4 balls in the water, I finally put one on the green, and I tell you, it's intimidating because it was very windy, and it was really like you think, it's not. What's the big deal? Just put it on the green. Well, I got to tell you, it took me a few shots to go, okay, I finally did it. Like, it is intimidating.
I bet.
I mean, and then my 6'6" video guy who hardly plays any golf, he steps up after we drank a lot the night before. He steps up, first shot of the day, and we're rolling, thank God. And he puts it hits with a nice draw. It hits the front of the green, rolls to the back of the green, stays on. And me and him are cheering and high-fiving like we just won the Super Bowl. I was so genuinely, I'm like, Adam, you did it. I go, you were rolling? He goes, I was rolling. We're just high-fiving.
When you say you were rolling, you're talking about guys were actually on ecstasy at the time? Is that what you meant by that?
We weren't high. I can't anymore.
Were you really on drugs that day?
No. The camera was rolling. Camera was rolling. No, we weren't rolling. No. Sorry. No. That was.
You said it a couple times, and I was like,
I know. Well, I was reliving days of old right there. I was like, wow, the 97X days.
Yeah.
Hey, come backstage. Try
54 balls.
Was it really
50? According to Chris McCarty. How you doing? Good morning, Chris. Taking the day off, a much needed day. Yeah, if I had planned this out better, Chris, going back to the beginning of the show would be a Tuesday through Friday show. If I knew I was going to be gigging so much on the weekends as I do. Okay. So we got a couple things to talk about today.
Cool.
First of all, did you see the live tiger at the prom?
No.
Okay. We got a live tiger at the prom we're going to get to. Did you see the peacock they found impaled by a bow and arrow?
No.
In Dunedin.
Well, you see these service animals, they just get in the way.
That's right. That's probably what it was.
A tiger at a prom?
Yeah. The tiger at the prom thing. This was Miami High School.
Uh-huh.
And, or I guess
here we go.
Christopher Columbus High School in Miami.
Sure.
And yeah, they thought it would be cool. I guess this is a rich enough school where they can go out and get the beasts of the universe and bring them in and put them in very small cages while we dance around and party and can't wait to go lose our virginity. And some people seem to not be happy about this. ABC Action News. I'm going to put up the video behind you here.
Yeah, I would like to see this. I didn't even hear about this. This is,
of course, the first part will be a commercial.
So this was a full-size tiger.
Yeah.
Now, what's the protocol? How did they get through this? How do they? The
school okayed it.
The school okayed it.
Yeah, they signed off. They went to a company that does this kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And this is from Good Morning Tampa Bay this morning. The video that's in the background there. So you see the tiger in the cage, a very small cage, in the middle of a prom. And this stuff just infuriates me.
That is.
Look at that. You see how agitated it is?
Of course.
This makes me, you know that rule that I told you about in the beginning, radio rules plus shit?
Yeah.
This makes me want to just throw that rule out the window and cuss a lot.
Well, dude, I mean, the poor thing. How much electronic dance music can you freaking listen to in a cage?
This stuff should be illegal. It's absolute BS that it's even allowed in this country. So you can come.
Now, let me ask you though: is the high school? Are they the Christopher Columbus Tigers? Like, I mean, what is the significance of having a tiger in there?
Even does it make it okay if they are the tigers?
No, that's what
they had
saying.
Other zoo animals there. They had other. No, it was to add to whatever. Let's hold on a second because it might have had something to do with the theme.
It's just
Florida high school that students, parents, and teachers at this Christopher Columbus High School took to social media to say that a wild tiger last Friday's prom was animal abuse. Maurice Chris Castellanos, whose brother attends the all boys private school. There you go. That makes perfect sense now. That makes perfect sense. An all boys private school. Let's show them how to be men, how to control the beasts.
Well, you know what? Can I just go on record and say it right now? I think it would have been awesome if somehow the tiger got loose. I don't care. That right
well, you're
there,
being honest. It's like not something you're not supposed to. I shouldn't say. But when you said that, like the thought that went through my head, Pat, was, would I be upset if that tiger got loose and mauled a few kids?
Oh no,
I would have been like, well, shouldn't have been effing around with the tiger,
dude. I'd do one worse. I'd be laughing my ass off. I would absolutely be so entertained. I would sit back with a cigar and a six-pack just to see how many
Watch the
of
video
those
over and over
kids.
again?
Yeah, oh yeah, slow motion. I would pick different seats to sit on in my home just to, surround sound it so I can hear their cries. I mean, that to me is absolutely entertaining because that's what you deserve that. And the only bad part coming from the tigers mauling them would be someone probably trying then to put the tiger down because it was doing a tiger thing.
Right.
And but to me, for the school to okay that, I go, listen, especially in South Florida, I think you've got some gun issues to worry about down there. The last freaking thing you got to worry about is bringing live animals in cages in there to somehow entertain the kids.
Right, and that's what it's there for. This is a problem. We got our little theme, whatever exotic theme it is. Let's bring in a tiger, a lemur, 2 macaws, and an African fennec fox.
Is that what they brought in?
Yeah. They brought all this stuff.
Well, what kind of
for stupid effing teenagers who have no respect for anything whatsoever to dance around and to taunt and to take pictures of?
Well, let me ask you that. How does a school budget this? Well, that's got to run some money unless you know somebody.
Private school, a private boys' school. I don't know the specifics, but obviously they had enough money to bring in the beasts of the universe.
Well, I'd probably have to blame the parents then because who gives the school money? The parents, right? If it's a private school, right? I mean, someone's got. So the parents are like, yes, it's okay. This is okay. Yeah, at least our kids aren't getting shot. Let's just bring in some tigers.
How do you think this stuff stays legal now in modern day America, modern day civilization? How is this kind of stuff legal where these people can? I mean, listen, I can understand you have facilities out there. You have a tiger rescue here where, and maybe you can bring these animals out under certain circumstances to teach and whatnot. But something like this, I don't understand how this is even legal. This bothers me to my core that we still act like such. I mean, like animals. We sit here and pretend to be something so special in this universe, on this planet. Some of us believe we're created in the image of God, and those who don't believe that still think that we're the most supreme creature there is. Yet we still have this part of us that gets off on putting a tiger in a cage.
I don't know if it's the elitism of it. People are elitists, and we go, you know what? We want.
We're superior.
Right.
We control the beasts of the world.
Right. We want something different for our precious children. So let's bring in, wild animals. And like you said, it's just.
You mean elitism as in let's show off our money? What can we go buy that poor people can't?
Right.
Tigers.
Exactly.
I see.
Now, why don't they just wheel in a couple of homeless guys in a cage? Same, like let's just go the other route. So one's almost as more dangerous as the other, because if those homeless guys get out, they probably haven't eaten for 3 days. But what I'm saying is that it's around the world. Do you hear this? Do you hear stories? Only
I'm
really.
Sure.
I mean,
I'm sure. I'm sure it's even worse in other parts of the world.
I don't. Maybe. But I mean, this is a private high school, man.
But
But
this is the thing: is that we're supposed to evolve culturally. We're supposed to be evolving generation after generation. And this kind of stuff, I feel like, should be way behind us. And obviously, it's not. But I don't even think you put this up against somebody else in a third world country, because they're still battling beasts like that to survive every day in some parts of the world. So, I mean, that's a complete. But when you're in a civilized country, and I understand in the very beginning of civilization, when you show that you are the dominant creature on the planet, but we've been here now for a few thousand years. Maybe we can let go of some of that old dumb shit and start to act like the special beings that we pretend we are.
I agree. I kind of blame it on the attitude of America.
Steve goes, whoa, homeless guys in cages. LOLOLOL.
Well, that's what I do for a living. Go to patlargo.com. That's a free joke right there, Steve. But no, it's true. I think it's, and I'm not, hey, I'll just say this. I'm not, I love our country. I love living in America. I love being an American. But I got to tell you, a lot of the times I'm really embarrassed.
I am too.
I'm very embarrassed, man. I mean, I used to work at a hotel here in the area, and I would take people to the airport and such, and people from Australia, the UK, people from military people from Iran and stuff, Iraq. And I got to tell you, just to hear people talk about, I always ask them, I go, what do you think about our country? And even pre-Trump, they would have they say, I like your country. It's definitely interesting. So, I mean, even some of the things, I'd say, listen, man, I mean, I would almost tell them, listen, I'm sorry for some of the stuff you see us do. Like, we don't believe in this as a whole. Like, just, don't judge every one of us, because especially now, maybe they don't like our president. I'm like, listen, this is what we do. We vote. He's in. Sorry if you
sorry if you don't like it.
I mean, right now we have a few more years to deal with it, but I mean, please don't hate us as a whole, because we really do just want peace and having a good time and watching baseball and all that good stuff like that, and not have war. We don't want war. So,
well, on that note, we'll skip right over the peacock found impaled in Dunedin and go right to war.
Okay.
As Israeli forces kill dozens in Gaza as U.S. Embassy opens in Jerusalem. We don't get too political. I don't know, Pat, you've just discovered this new venture of mine here, and we don't get too political. I'm not a right-wing, left-wing kind of a person. I don't see things in those terms, and it doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
I mean, it makes sense to me to a certain degree, but not much. And so I figure... So I'm gonna filter this through the radio guy in you, because on one hand I want to do a show and not talk about Trump and all that stuff that's going on.
Right.
On the other hand, what's wrong with me? I mean, that is the hottest stuff that is out there. If you're going to do mass media, if you're going to try to do something like this or get on the radio, you have to talk about it one way or another. You don't have to take a hardline stance on something, but you can't just ignore it. And then you look at somebody like Stephen Colbert, whose ratings were until the election. And next thing you know, his opening monologues were Trump, Trump, Trump. And now he's the #1 show out there. So with that, what is your advice? Before I even go on to the next thing, what are your thoughts on that thought?
Well, like you said, if you don't do a lot of it and the audience, knows that, or if they're just tuning in and they go, oh, this guy doesn't do a lot of political stuff at all, that's cool. But like you said, it's almost like whatever the hot story is, either that day or week or month, it's tough to just ignore that elephant in the room, correct?
Right, but it's going from month to month to month to month to month.
True.
It's the same story.
Right. Now, that doesn't mean you have to do Trump every day if you don't want to. It is your show. If something huge happens tomorrow or tonight, you probably want to just to talk about it because everyone is talking about it, right? But you're not going to say about, hey, I heard he had baked beans today instead of, you don't want to, yeah, I understand that. But now this whole Gaza thing and what angle is kind of leading to what some prognosticators are talking about, maybe some big-time conflict in the near future, something to talk about.
I'm a little, I haven't been worried too much up until recently. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to be an alarmist or go, this is it, screw this guy, blah, 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 blah. But between what's happening in Korea, which right now you could say, well, listen, we just brought home 3 hostages. It looks like everything is de-escalating even a word?
Yes, de-escalating.
Okay, de-escalating. Looks like things are, calming down there, and maybe there's going to be a one Korean. Maybe. But we'll see. It's not like this conflict has only been around for a decade. This has been going on since the end. Well, there was never an end to the Korean War.
Right.
Then you have what's happening in Iran, and now what's happening in Jerusalem. It feels like his approach is F you all. We're America. We're not going to tolerate this anymore. We're not going to talk. And he's got this authoritarian. We're just going to push and do what we want in this part of the world, this part of the world, and this part of the world. Now, the reason that we have had diplomacy over the last 50, 60 years is because we have been the major force in the world since the end of World War II. And so on one hand, you could look at it and go, well, let's take our might and go make these parts of the world that are not conforming to us conform. Or you take this diplomatic long-term approach so that you're not wasting lives as psychopaths play out their chess game. And you're trying to keep peace around the world at the same time trying to slowly bring people around to compassion and democracy and freedom and so on and so forth. So on one hand, I guess it looks like this president could just be simply going, enough of this sissy diplomacy stuff. It is not working. It's just slowly these other countries, these other people, these other regimes, including Vladimir Putin, just slowly you keep giving, they'll just keep picking away with no intentions of ever coming around. So let's just go ahead and draw the line in the sand and say, this is it. F you, don't cross these lines or we're going to do something about it. But on the other hand, I fear that's, I don't know, both ways we could end up in war. So again, I'm not sure. You don't see me getting angry at the president. You don't see me going, see, this is why Trump's wrong. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm a little concerned that all of these moves are, and with this John Bolton guy that's in there too. I almost said Michael Bolton. He's more hawkish, and if you don't follow politics, when they talk about hawkish, that means a little bit more quick on the trigger to go to war. And so I'm just concerned that we are about to there's going to be something that happens, and us moving our embassy and officially saying that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. Screw you, Palestinians. So now we look at the news today. Israel troops killed dozens of Palestinians taking part in mass protests on the Gaza border on Monday as the United States opens its embassy to Israel in Jerusalem. The U.S. relocation of its embassy from Tel Aviv fulfilled a pledge by U.S. President Donald Trump, who has recognized the holy city as the Israeli capital, but it has fired Palestinian anger and drawn criticism from many. Now, in the end, Pat Largo, and this is why you don't see me pounding my fist, in the end, maybe all this works. Maybe this kind of pressure, because we still are the big dog, and you'll see then those opposing forces who have been gaining an inch and gaining an inch and gaining an inch, decade after decade after decade. Mm-hmm. Maybe this makes them go, oh, all right, we're good right here. That line you drew, we're good right here. But I'm concerned that it's not going to play out that way.
Yeah, this sure beats a Peacock story, I think. I like it. Man, first off, we're the big dog on the block. What scares me, we're the big dog on the block with a much smaller military, with a military with some older equipment. We're a military that has been taking years and years to, help out with the fight against ISIS and Al-Qaeda. And guess what? ISIS still has not been wiped out, even though they said it was a while ago. They're still around. We have a scaringly silent China, right? You haven't heard about them much, right? They're just kind of sitting off in the shadows. No, scare the hell out of me.
They're building up. They're building up. Not only that, but something scary coming out of China just last week, the week before. They've now gone to some weird system. It's very dystopian. It's very futuristic dystopian, where every citizen is getting. It's like you're living in a video game now. Things that they see you doing good, then you get points for. Things they see you doing bad, including jaywalking, and cameras are everywhere. They're using this technology. You're getting docked points. So if they see you online playing video games for too many hours a day, you're going to come down. So you're going to be able to lift yourself up in society and bring yourself down in society based on how you play their game, basically.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
Oh, it's scary as shit.
It's scary. Now, so they're monitoring you in your own home then?
All right, well, let me bring this up. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up.
Wow.
So let me go to the comment section here, and thank you so much for leaving the comments. And for those of you that can, you feel comfortable, share this show every single day. Share it to share and like and share. So first of all, Steve says, "Sorry, I'm late to the party. Is Pat a comedian? I think I saw him a few weeks ago at Snappers. He is hilarious." Yes,
actually, yes,
that probably was you, right?
Actually, last April, I'm due back again, so check back at patlargo.com. I usually go there once a year. Great place, Snappers in Palm Harbor. Fantastic place.
Well,
Thank you.
Somebody who does a great impersonation of Pat Largo was there a couple weeks ago.
That's right.
Doing your stuff. So Nikki's answering my question about, how we talk about Trump on the show. Now, I know she's a huge Trump supporter and is proud. She goes, but it's totally up to you. Obviously, no matter what, there will be differences of opinions. LOL. If people don't like it, they'll get over it, myself included. It's reality. MAGA. Hashtag MAGA. Yeah. She goes on to say, our country needed to grow some balls. I'm not saying be so brash, but we can't just tuck our tails anymore. And then she also goes on to say, we are all concerned. We all want to feel safe. So she has concerns that we're not safe enough as a country and that our leaders, these are our past few leaders, have slowly but surely given up more and more of the control and the power we had in the world. And so she wants to feel more safe, and she feels this move may be that. Although you can see the nervousness in her too. She goes, but maybe not so brash. There still is... Even when you're being a little bit more aggressive or assertive, let's use the term assertive right now in the world, there still is nuance to it. There's still a way to go about it so that you don't force somebody into some crazy leader into a corner where they have to fight.
You could polish it up, but the thing is, maybe years now, and I hate to bring us in a different angle, years now of our country going in quite the PC direction. That political correct. I mean, if you don't feel safe in this country right now, I don't know what to tell you, because you're not allowed to do anything anymore. I mean, everything is just really cut down to the lowest common denominator, where just anything that's common sense has been thrown out the window. So we are so PC monitored here in this country, you kind of have to feel safe. Now, are the leaders...
I don't think people feel safe, though, in this country. Right. I mean, we have mass shooting every few weeks now.
Right, and that's not politically correct. So,
the mass shootings, you're right. And I'm glad that mass shootings are not politically correct.
I mean, when it comes to, again, that's a whole different debate right there. So, I mean, but when it comes to our country being safe, I mean, do we tell people we have the best military in the world? Yes. Do I believe in our military? Yes. Do I love our country? Yes. Trump, our president, is he going to be brash? Of course. I mean, of course he's going to be brash. That's what he does.
Do you think part of his victory had to do with a certain part of America getting tired of, like, it seemed like every few months you woke up and you found out you no longer could say this, or you couldn't say that. You have to now call this person that, call this person this.
I think that's been happening for a while. And now, even before Trump was running, I mean, I know we had a lot of changes in that and different, like I said, more of those PC comments and names you had to use, and just mind all your P's and Q's.
Pat, I'm at a wedding the other night.
Yes.
This is 2 weekends ago.
Okay.
And it's an older wedding. A guy comes up to one of the people there, and a lot of people are from Boston. He's one of the guys from Boston. So he comes up, and what was it he asked for? Oh, I'm playing Sweet Care. I play Sweet Caroline, right? Mm-hmm. All those Bostonians love that. Well, he comes up and he goes, there are some people that get riled or gets worked up. You can't play it in some places in Boston. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, because of the line, touching you, touching me, or something like that.
Really?
Touching you, touching me. I'm like, really? That's a controversy? I've never heard this controversy before. He's like, well, you can't say anything anymore. It used to be I'd walk down the street and call somebody out by their nationality. You can't do that anymore. He was in his this guy was in his 70s, and I just like, yeah, you're right, sir. What did you really want to say? Do you really want to say that you like those days when you could walk out the house and go, hey, N-word,
yeah,
how you doing, buddy?
Good morning.
Hey, you dumb Italian, how you doing over there?
My grass needs cutting. Get one of the Mexican fellers over here.
But that, the funny thing is, things have really changed. You know, if you and I go back and we start pulling tape, air checks from our shows going back in the late 90s, early 2000s, the stuff that came out of our mouths then would not be able to come out of our mouths now.
No.
In mass media anyway, on radio or television.
Right. I mean, maybe once and you get a warning, and if you did it again, you probably get fired, right? I know comedians. I know comedians who are national. I mean, like I said, Larry the Cable Guy, guys like that. If you saw shows they did 15 years ago and they blew up now the way they are, if they use some of those punchlines, they would be ostracized probably from the comic world, or they have to do their own small club somewhere. They wouldn't be a part of with the big money making venues they're at now because of their idea of what people were. Even just a punchline. But that's again a whole. I would love to come on one day and talk about that, about the freedom of speech with comedians, and hear some of the stories about how that's affecting people.
Do you know the name Paul Mercurio?
Paul Mercurio.
He was a writer for The Daily Show, one of the original writers for The Daily Show.
Yes, that sounds familiar, yes.
And he's one of those working comics, been out there for a long, long time. We had him on the show, and he was talking about this, and you're exactly right. It's not just a little phenomenon or a little trend or a phase that seems to be coming and going, but something that is here and is very powerful right now. Well,
I'll give you a truncated version of it. If people, again, I don't know if it's the entitlement or just the lack of common sense now that is out of our country, but when you're saying jokes, right? And Steve Harvey said this, Bill Burr said this very eloquently, not the way I can do it. They said they just really nailed it on the head. They said, once my joke, right, comes out of my mouth and goes into your ears, right, you process it how you want to. And sometimes it becomes from a punchline, it becomes a statement. So in other words, I could be talking about different people and making fun of them all show long, right? And the audience is laughing and they love it. But all of a sudden, I mention a subject that's sore to them. All of a sudden, now the laughter goes to, why are you attacking me? Or why'd you talk about the DUI thing? My friend. Yeah, so now they're complaining that I'm going to sue you because you're so, and here's my favorite word, you're so insensitive on stage. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. That's not how that works. Steve Harvey said it best. He goes, he had to apologize about a joke. Jerry Seinfeld asked him why. He goes, I got sponsors, man, because I got a talk show. He goes, if I was a pure stand-up comedian, he goes, I wouldn't apologize about any damn joke. Right. But he goes, and here's the best part. He goes, once one sponsor becomes offended, he goes, all the rest become offended. And he goes, hey, man, they're not really offended. They have to pretend to be offended. And that's exactly true. In this society, folks, if I could just give one little soapbox thing real quick in 10 seconds. I know if things offend you and piss you off and things may seem insensitive, but guess what? You're not I'm offended by the use of your word offended. You're not that offended. Just think about it. At the end of the day, when you yelled at someone and you're going to sue them because you're offended, did it really offend you? Did it cause you bodily harm or mental anguish?
Did it viscerally offend you or intellectually offend you?
Exactly. No, exactly, man.
Because there's two different things there. In the first one, you can't help. If you're offended, you're offended. You know what I mean? Because you feel it. You feel it. It doesn't feel right. You're offended. Your senses, your sensibilities are offended. The other one is you hear it and go, I think that's politically incorrect. I'm offended now, intellectually.
And again, that right there, I'm sorry. Great, be offended. But for you to take time out to blog about something, or you're going to go on Twitter and say, this was a great comedy show until he talked about his dog. Well, my dog just died. How insensitive of this comedian. I want his sponsors to know about this. I want you to boycott his shows. That's when, I hate to say this, but that's when you got to look in the mirror and go, maybe I'm just a bit of an a-hole. Maybe I got some issues to work out in my life.
I also, we've heard that this next generation is a hypersensitive generation. I think that I'm not a millennial, but I know that I am a little bit more sensitive than other people or other guys. Growing up, I saw things very differently. I reacted very differently, and even had issues over the years because I wasn't a man enough. I wasn't assertive enough. I'm not aggressive enough, and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm wondering, just the sign of the times, things are changing. We're not constantly at a world war, and so the generations behind those that went to that fought in World War II, those generations behind have had it easier and easier, so that you don't have to be raised the way a lot of guys around me were raised, coming from a little southern town. They're raised to be tough. They're raised to be tough. I'm going to exaggerate some, but basically their dads are pushing them down, or if they get pushed down and get back up, they're not getting a hug. The little girl gets a hug, the little boy doesn't get a hug, because you're going to learn how to deal with these kind of things and just keep moving forward. Yeah. The little girl will coddle. I think those are changing, and there's more and more of these so-called snowflakes out there, and even though it's making some people angry because you feel like you can't say some of the things you're saying, I think that might be a very real thing where it is now those the ones that weren't considered the alphas back in the day, or would stay quiet as somebody else picked on somebody else or said this kind of inappropriate thing, that kind of inappropriate thing, and not saying anything. I think those people are now saying something, and they have power because it seems like so many other people are fed up with certain things, and they're sensitive, hypersensitive to it. Did I babble? Did I ramble on without making a point?
But all the snowflakes, that's the thing. They're not individual. They're all the same. Really. Now, Jesus Christ, my dad was a World War II veteran and a New York City police detective. How do you think I grew up? There was no crying in my house.
All right.
No, I was the only child. It was my mom and a dog and me, and that was it, man. Now, don't get me wrong.
The dog got all the love and affection, the nurturing.
He got all the kisses, right? My dad would make me go outside at night and sleep in the doghouse. The dog would be on my bed.
Back in our day.
What I'm saying is that you can't compare, okay? I had a cousin in Vietnam who killed himself because he was subjected to Agent Orange, okay? Put a shotgun in his mouth one day in the early 80s, right before Christmas. Great timing. I remember getting that phone call. My dad got it. I was 12 years old. He goes, your uncle Louis died. And we just saw him like 3 weeks earlier. Guy looked like Burt Reynolds. Good-looking guy. Cool guy. We were playing together. It was great. And he put a shotgun in his mouth. And by the way, the balls to do that, by the way. I'm not advocating suicide, but boy, if you do that and you pull the trigger, dude, you made a decision. That's amazing.
I don't know. As somebody who has slipped down that slope a little bit in the past, I see it a little bit differently. It's almost like at some point it becomes your only way out.
Yeah. It
really literally feels like the only decision to be made sometimes. So I don't know if it makes you brave or bold or anything. I think it's more, it just feels like it's the only option.
Maybe the only option. But I mean, like you said, though, again, these are all subjects. I love being here, and you could pick one of these subjects we talk about and go an hour or two every day at least, because there's so many things to talk about.
Well, let's hit some of the comments that are coming out of the comment section here, and thank you so much for the likes and the shares. They're huge. Sharon says, and now this is going to back up when we were first talking about Trump and whatever. I agree it is so difficult to know what to think about how this will play out. I strongly dislike Trump, but I have to ask myself if other countries are doing the right thing because he is so scary, or if it is right to behave like we want others to. That is all. That is, after all, how we raise our children. So do you use the force and the might that you have to get other people in line, even if it seems like you're being a bully in certain situations, or do you keep acting like the adults we're supposed to be teaching our children to be, and constantly be diplomatic and understanding and compassionate, But I see it going both ways, that over the years, some of our compassion and understanding is taken advantage of. So this is where we are, and if things don't work out, we got midterms right around the corner that takes power away from the president, if that's what the country wants, and then right after that, another election to move on to the next person and smooth things out, if that's where everything goes.
Yeah, that's true.
Nikki, Trump's got a mouth, LOL, but he's never been a politician. So again, she's she supports Trump, and she likes that he's not a politician. I think that's one of the things that I liked about Trump is he just didn't sound like a politician. I felt like we were getting a little bit more of a, for better or for worse, a more truthful insight into his brain. Again, for better or for worse. Now, I did not vote for Trump. Don't take that the wrong way. And I did not vote for Hillary either.
Me either.
She goes on to say, yes, I was tired of the same old crap. I wanted to change, protect my rights, the Second Amendment. I'm also tired of all the changes to history, removing statues, etc. You cannot erase history.
That's a whole nother.
Also, guys in girls' bathrooms, WTF, LOL. I think that really set a lot of Americans on their heels. I'd said this in my last radio show, Pat Largo. Now, this is going to be a question about how far do you think America has come. I don't know if it's since the 60s or since the Civil War, but growing up in we'll call it a little redneck town in Florida, there was definitely some racism there, right? Some white superiority. here and there, but not as much as you think. And this was also a sunset town, a sundown town up until 1974, meaning there was a sign on the main road that went in. It says, "Don't let the sun set on your black ass." Right? That's 1974. That's not 1874, 1974. I'm 2 years old. So that's when that comes down.
I think I bought that off of eBay last week, that sign.
Yeah. And then, growing up, you'd see every now and again, you'd see a sign like, on the back of somebody who painted KKK, something like that. There was also one story of my childhood. I remember coming to school and there was a cross burning over the weekend, and the kids were talking about it. I remember it didn't register. It didn't really make sense to me because cross burning, that was a Christian thing to me, and I didn't really get the dynamics. And if you're thinking I'm lying, like, how could you not know that? Even though I was raised in this particular town, my family's from Western New York, and we're all God's children, and so that racism was never a topic of discussion in our household, or superiority or whatever. So that being said, it's from my childhood and watching Ocoee grow over the last 40 years. Now, I feel like so many of those people that were in a very different place, a much more ignorant place, say back in the 70s, had changed quite a bit by the 90s and the 2000s. That they themselves had grandchildren of mixed races, and they've seen enough stuff to change the way they saw things, right? Or coming around. But I think that when North Carolina all of a sudden, was thrust in the limelight when they started banning men from bathrooms or transsexuals, that whole thing, when that whole thing blew up, I think that made a lot of people go, wait, hold on. We've come a long way, and now you're asking us to do what? Yeah. When a man thinks he's a woman, he's allowed to put on a dress and go into that. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Because it's what they identify with. Remember, that's the key word. It's what you identify with, Chris. Don't you identify sometimes in the morning when you wake up? Don't you just want to sit down and pee for a little while?
Sometimes I sit down and pee, if I'm feeling a little lazy.
No, this is what I'm saying, though. Do you see?
I see what you're saying. You're right. You can't relate. You can't connect. No matter how hard you try, it's very difficult to connect those dots.
I used to I was working on a joke, and I haven't said it on stage yet. About I don't. And my jokes is really, there's no political stuff. There's no I don't do religious stuff, right? But with gay, God, I've got so many gay friends, dude. I work with one, and she went 100.3 in Orlando years ago. This guy Rob, great guy, promotion director. I've got so many lesbian friends, gay friends. I do gigs in Gulfport a lot. There's a big contingency there. It's fantastic. Go do your thing, man. I have no problem. And listen,
well, I think, like I said, those a lot of those people that I was talking about had come around, or at least their children, which were my age, that generation, my generation.
Right.
They didn't see the same way when it came to race or even sexuality. The way that their parents did. And so I got to see that, being born in a sundown town and watching that evolve. So I know that I feel like things are moving forward, but then that moment right there made a lot of those people go, wait, whoa.
That's what I'm saying. So now you got this, right? Now you got America going, okay, now we have what's called gay marriage, right? So now people who may not be used to this, right, Fish, they're going like this. What am I seeing on TV now? Or what am I seeing in person? Oh, two guys, and they're exchanging wedding bands, and they're kissing. Oh, two girls, and they're exchanging wedding bands, and they're kissing. Okay, so some people, it takes a while for them to digest that, right? I'll give you that. Okay.
It took me a while to digest it. I was never around that. No, as a young adult in my 20s, I remember the first time walking down, or in Miami, and walking down, whatever that, Sunset, no, what the hell?
Just but like the strip down there?
Yeah, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And when the first time I saw two guys holding hands, it registered as what? It just didn't feel right? It registered as weird. But luckily, many years of being in entertainment, you become desensitized very quickly.
It's true. Now all of a sudden you get this. Now between race and between sexuality, now they come across. Now we have people who don't know exactly what they are. So we're gonna say this is what you identify with on a particular day. If you're a man, right, and if you're dressed as a man, if I'm not mistaken, right, you could enter the female restroom because even though you look and dress like a man,
you feel like
you're
a woman.
Identifying as a woman.
Right.
And here's when makes me not be on the side of the litigious angle of things and attorneys is when someone goes, no, this is your American right, sir or ma'am, that you can feel however you want, and they can't say common sense things about this, like, oh, you know what, if you were born with a penis, you're a man, right? You could be gay, but you're a man. You go in the men's room. If you were born sans that element of your body, you go in the female room. Those are your choices. But again, see, that's common sense. Common sense is out the window. And you know what common sense gets you nowadays? Two things: fired and a lawsuit. There is no more common sense, man. It's about making sure everyone is happy as possible in whatever thing that makes them happy. Otherwise, you got a lawsuit.
So I can appreciate that thought. I can appreciate us sitting around, or leaders sitting around going, are there ways to make everybody happy so everybody feels comfortable? And you're eventually going to get to, right. You're eventually going to get to that. No, you can't. You can set up some basic rules, but you're going to have to let stuff play out. And there's going to be hardships in their lives. There's going to be difficult times when you're offended. So there's a real thing, gender dysphoria. Okay, so I don't want to pile on somebody who has gender dysphoria, where you have a penis, but you wake up every day and you feel trapped in the wrong body. That has to be a horrible, hellish existence, right? I would love to make the world a place where you don't ever feel that way. But what I didn't get in that, and by the way, I'm not worked up over this subject. I'm not trying to re-bring up this whole bathroom thing, because I really could care less. I personally could care less. But I also get it from a bigger societal thing. And so to me, it seems like, I always trip up here, Pat, because I don't want to be offensive.
No, but so I know it's your show, but go tread as lightly as you can. But I want to hear your side. I want to hear the offensive part, or whatever it is.
So, and maybe this is based in my ignorance, but what sticks out to me is I don't understand, if somebody wakes up every day feeling like they're a different gender than they are, then we had people out there to go change the laws to accommodate that. But if I am schizophrenic, and I wake up every day and I truly feel like I'm the president of the United States of America, we're not going to change the law, so I have access. I get a key fob to the White House, True. Where they're going to talk to me and they're going to try to help me manage my stuff, but they're not going to change the laws or change everybody else in society to fit what seems to be off about me.
Well, just give them time. I'm sure they will, though.
And that's why I feel, yeah.
Unfortunately, right? But now here's the deal. If you wake up as a guy, right, and you're trapped in a female body, right, does that mean you're gay? Aren't you gay? Isn't that gay? Then you're gay. So go in the men's room, you're gay.
But
no?
I don't think it has to do with their sexual orientation. Like, it's not that they feel like they're gay, like they're a man and they're attracted to a man. They're a man and they feel like they are trapped in the wrong body, and there's an extreme anxiety that goes along with it, and depression and all that other stuff. And that goes along with it, from what I understand.
Well, I'm surprised there's not more lawsuits against the parents then. I mean, like for the kids suing the parents. Because in this day and age, I swear to God, I could see kids suing their parents about this.
All right, let's come back to a question here. Yeah. So Steve says, are you one who believes that all kids should get a trophy at the end of the year, or just the winner?
Is that directed to you?
It's directed to us.
Okay.
I mean, he did put my name on there, but it's directed to us. All right. Can I change the question? Am I allowed to play that game? Because here's the way the issue has to do with hyper competitiveness, and focusing on winning isn't the only thing. From 1 year old, 2 years old, the insanity of what. Remember, being a fan, a sports fan, comes from the word fanatical, and that is a mental issue as well. When you become that obsessed and fixated with a team, a game. So I know what they are trying to do when they're going, well, we need to take some of that hyper. You just get focused on that person's the enemy, win at all costs. That, I do believe, is something that we need to deal with, an issue that we do need to address. Is the answer going, hey, everybody gets a trophy? Probably not. But I understand what they're trying to do there. So that's my answer on that one.
Yeah,
You don't give a shit.
I've got no comment.
Right.
No, I mean, again, from the background I come from, listen, my dad was a baseball coach, and I think at 3, that's when I last heard my first MF word. No, you know what, man? I agree. If you're 3 years old, 4 years old, you're playing t-ball, right? Where were they playing? Yeah, okay. Everyone, maybe they don't count the score, right? Like they do in some soccer games. Maybe you're 3 years old, 4 years old. They don't. If you score a goal, they don't count it. Just so everyone can participate. Okay, but then what's the advancement? What's the next age where you go? We are keeping score. There are winners. There are losers. There is cheering. There is crying. There is victory. There is defeat. And this is a life lesson. Like what? Like this guy. You know what I'm saying? You just can't be doing it all the way through Little League and, into junior high.
Right, because then you're going to get to a point, because things do get competitive at some point,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Life gets competitive at some point.
Right.
But do you also, do you agree with my, that we get a little too over the top with our competitive nature? The winning is the only thing, especially when it comes to our GD games, baseball, football, basketball, soccer, hockey.
Dude.
These guys are beating each other up on the ice.
Yes.
They're getting paid millions of dollars to play a game and then get us monkeys, get us riled up with a fight every now and again. They're tapping into a part of us that I don't know if it's in our best interest.
That's why I just become a Rays fan. It's a nice, quiet atmosphere. A couple innings, I catch some naps. It's very laid back and relaxed.
Sit wherever you want.
So wherever you want, they don't care. I go down to the leather seats right behind the catcher. No, man, rabid fans, like you said. Look at the football clubs in Europe. Right, they kill each other. They kill the goalie if he lets the winning goal by. They're killing people.
Right.
I mean, you talk about fanatical. That, like you said, and I look at it this way. Sometimes I've been a Bucs fan for almost 40 years. Right, the highs, the lows.
Sorry.
I know. I've got an ulcer. I'm going to actually sue them for ruining my liver. I've drunk so much watching them over the years. But then me and my best friend were talking about this. We go, listen, why are we getting so worked up over this? We didn't just sign a $25 million contract to play with them.
Right.
In fact, we're paying $100 to go see them at the stadium. So I understand why we want to see them win. But as I get older now, I have to bring the energy down a little bit, because I just, between this and PE and low T, I just can't.
Yeah, it was sometime in the mid to late 90s that I realized how much of an effect that sports had over me, and I cut it off. Sometimes I've looked back and went, oh, maybe that's because I was trying to have control. I'm trying to control too much of my own environment and my emotions and da-da-da-da. No, it's just that was too much.
It's too much.
Too much.
Failure
is a part of life, says Nikki. If everyone gets a trophy, what do they have to work for? Well, what they're working for, I guess, in that scenario, say we go back to these soccer clubs that at the early age, they're not keeping score. So then it's about playing well with others. All right?
Yeah.
It's about working well on a team to achieve a goal. Now, granted, that goal is to score a goal and usually get a point for it, so then you all cheer. But I'm sure
it makes them follow rules, right? How to follow rules, proper protocol in the games. So it is educational, correct? I mean,
there's a lot of positives that come along with team sports. There's a lot of positives that come along with, like I said, I can get down on the fanatics that too many of us are fanatical about our sports, and it affects us day in and day out. But you know what? It also binds us and connects us, because when you're sitting there with a group of people, 13 people you hardly know, you got your wife with you, and you know one other person there. And so what do you start talking about? The serious issues of the day? No, you start bringing up popular culture.
Right.
What's happening in the movies, what's happening in music, what's happening with your favorite sports team. And the next thing you know, we're all on the same page. We're all laughing and having a good time. So I do...
And then, unfortunately, I come in and go, boy, you see that transgender kid in Burger King? Taking a dump right next to me?
All right.
All right.
Failure is a part of life, if everyone gets a trophy, from Nikki there. So I want to bring, so this is going to come back to this story here, and then I'll let you go because, I got to.
I know. I appreciate you taking extra time with me.
The story about this thing in China. So China's behavior monitoring. By 2020, China plans to give all of its 1.4 billion citizens a personal score based on how they behave. Some with low scores are already being punished if they want to travel. Nearly 11 million Chinese are not allowed to fly, and 4 million are barred from trains. Next week, the program will start expanding nationwide. The government says it's trying to purify.
Oh.
This is not a made-up story. This is not a movie. This is real. And it's funny because we've seen these dystopian kind of movies in the past. You picture them happening here in America, but now we can watch it play out in another country.
Wow. Communist China. Well, this is something you bring this up because I literally have not heard about this. So I thought that sounded far-fetched. But this is so you're not allowed to, if you're bad, you're not allowed to fly,
right? Or
you're not allowed to travel, or,
right.
God, actually, I kind of wish if they make most of them not be allowed to drive. Have you seen some of those Asians?
Hey, society is rewarding people who are trustworthy and punishing those who are not, reports CBS News correspondent Ben Tracy. So like the credit scores most Americans have based on how they handle their finances, Chinese citizens are getting a social credit score based on everything from whether they pay their taxes on time to how they cross the street to what they post online. When Li Hu recently tried to book a flight, he was told he was banned from flying because he was on the list of untrustworthy people, which almost seems like something coming out. I don't know if you read or watched any of those Harry Potters, but it sounds like something coming out of that universe. I can't buy property. My child can't go to private school, he said. You feel you're being controlled by this list all the time. And that's what they're doing. Because they are engineering their society over there. Here in America, from what I understand, and I'm not, don't Google everything that I'm getting ready to say. Don't just take it for on face value. But here in America, you'll notice when you look at our politics and you look at Washington, D.C., most of those people there, what occupation? Come from where? They're lawyers.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They're lawyers. Because of the way that our Constitution lays out, you get lawyers in there to finagle and find loopholes and to work and manipulate and see what you can do to get things done. So that's why lawyers are so prevalent. Well, I don't know if that's why lawyers are prevalent or not, but that's the way I see it. Well, in communist China, they are engineering their society. And their government, from what I understand, is filled with engineers. So you have people who are problem solvers and thinkers and trying to engineer a perfect society versus over here, you have lawyers who are there's still money grubbing in China, don't get me wrong. Money grubbing lawyers who are trying to rig the system to benefit themselves, their families, and the people that help them get into power. That's the way I see it anyway. So here you go. This is them trying to engineer a perfect society and purify China. The list is now getting longer as every Chinese citizen is being assigned a social credit score, a fluctuating rating based on a range of behaviors. It's believed that community service and buying Chinese-made products can raise your score. Fraud, tax evasion, and smoking in non-smoking areas can drop it. So they're going to be watching you everywhere. Yes. They have video camera. I was watching something on the news last week, and every video camera, they're using facial recognition. So now they got a camera pointed at a place that's a non-smoking area. You're smoking there, your score goes down, your social score goes down. This is amazing. Because people are going, this is going to work, by the way.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. It may not necessarily get the outcome they wanted or purify anything like they think it is going to, but if this system goes into place the way they say it is and it stays in place, it is going to have a huge impact because just like every video game, either people are going to try to constantly get fixated on collecting coins and upping their score, and it's going to change everything.
Does that eventually go around, the world? I mean, does that eventually take on new life with other, either communist countries or just countries in general?
If they start getting ahead of the game, right? If they're catching up with America economically, they do this and then start to do this. You better believe you're going to see countries all around the world looking to institute similar things.
Technology is cool. It's cool. I think everything starts out for good, and then it kind of gets used for evil, I think. Well, I don't know, man.
One of my favorite cliches is, I can never remember, I always have to paraphrase. It is the pathway to hell, or the path to hell is paved with good intentions.
Good intentions, yeah.
And I think there is a lot of truth in that. Because we think we know best in these moments.
Yeah.
Especially if you're the intellectual elite or the religious elite or anybody else who's elite, you think you have all the answers, and I'm doing this it's for the betterment of society. It's for the betterment of my family, and it doesn't necessarily always work out that way.
No.
So this is something interesting. Going back to talking about kids and trophies, whether or not every kid gets a trophy or just the winning teams. Nikki brings up something. She goes, but as you grow, second place is the first loser. That's the kind of stuff that I want to address. That's the kind of stuff that I want to make sure, or I'm not going to have any impact, but I would like people to realize is a detriment. It's not good for us to think that way, that second place is first loser. I think that keeps us hyper-focused in the wrong place, and you're willing to do anything just to be first place. You're willing to do anything to be at the top.
No, it worked for a couple of the American Idol people that came in second. Good careers. I'll take second.
Good point.
I'm all right with it.
Yeah. Look, I guarantee if Tiger, because he didn't end up finishing third. What Tiger ended up finishing yesterday? Did he drop way back?
Yeah, tied for a little down. Yeah, he dropped a few strokes at the end there. So,
are you a reader? Sharon says the book "The Giver" by Lois Lowry is exactly about this topic. Huh. So one of those dystopian futures that we're talking about.
Okay. I'm gonna go home and check it out online, like with the story you're talking about, because that's scary.
Yeah.
It's just scary. That's flat out. If anyone doesn't think it's scary, that to me that's weird, because that's scary.
Yes. And it is a lot happening in the real world now, just not in America yet. Well, Pat Largo, thanks for stopping by, man. I feel like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and just having friends pop in and chat about what's going on in the world.
Thank you for having me. It's been great to see you. Like I said, from the old radio days, it's great to hang out with you anytime and either do this or just have a beer sometime and do your trivia stuff at night. I'll have to see you one night from one of your places at Ducky's or in downtown St. Pete there. So, but thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it. And everyone who made their comments and is watching, I really want to thank them too. So, any
gigs you got coming up? Any stand-up gigs this week, next couple of weeks?
No, I'm actually working on a little bit of the southeast part of the country now, and I'll be getting back to more.
Where the southeast?
Working in North Carolina, a couple of clubs in Georgia, and I'm working on trying to finally get to do. It's called an open mic at the Stardome in Alabama, which is a huge venue. It's an open mic, but I'll travel like what is it? Whatever it's like 12 hours to get there and do 5 minutes. Because if I do well, we get back on that stage again sometime. So that'd be nice.
So do you get paid for that open mic 5 minutes?
No, that would be literally me driving out there and coming back. Yeah.
So you drive a day just for to do 5 minutes for free in hopes that you pop.
Right, for that particular event. Everything else, though, I do through various comedy clubs and get compensated for that all the way up and down. But yeah, that one is like, it'd be like anything. It'd be like if Larry the Cable Guy said, "Hey, I'm in Seattle. Can you drive here and be here in a day and a half to open up for me for 5 minutes?" Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll be driving.
Yeah.
So, but no, I'll be back in the Tampa Bay area again. Check out patlargo.com. We'll be doing some, I think, side splitters, bonkers, and snappers here probably in the near future.
All right. Well, thank you for stopping by, and thank you everybody for being a part of the Wake.Show again today. Have a great day, and take care of yourself. Be kind to others. Let your crazy breathe, and most importantly, be the change that would you like to see in the world.